Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Welcome to Sports Management Podcast, where you will hear interesting sports management professionals share their stories, experiences, and passion for the sports management industry. I am your host, Marcus Philipsson. Welcome to episode 201 of Sports Management Podcast. Today's guest is Geoff Thomas, a former professional football player, cancer survivor, and a patron of charity for Cure Leukaemia. When this episode is live, Geoff has just completed all the 21 stages of the Tour de France, raising vital funds for Cure Leukaemia, a cause close to his heart, having overcome leukemia himself. We spoke about his background as a professional footballer, 9 caps with England without losing, being diagnosed with leukemia and getting 3 months to live, giving back through charities, how Arthrosamid helped with his knee pain, and much more. Geoff Thomas, welcome to the Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you.
It's great to have you on the show. You're a former pro footballer and now doing a lot of different other things, currently in the middle of a bike race for a very good cause. So we will talk all about this, obviously. So can you just give a little bit of a brief background of yourself before we dive into what you're doing right now?
Yeah, like I say, 18 years of professional footballer. Probably the best time I had and probably most remembered for was playing for a captain in Crystal Palace in the early 90s. I joined about 87, 86, and we got promoted to the Premiership. Got to the FA Cup final, played against Man United, sadly losing to a Alex Ferguson side. We went on to get third in the Premiership the year after. And after that, a club like Palace couldn't keep hold of the top players. We had the likes of Ian Wright playing, and went to Forest, Wolves, and then just managed to last 18 years and retired at the age of 37. Oh, I played for England as well. Yeah, 9 times, never lost.
Never lost?
Never lost, no. But never scored, which was my downfall.
We focus on the never lost part.
Yeah, the positives always.
Exactly. So I know you are a positive guy. You have been through a lot. So, and we'll talk about that. So in 2003, you were diagnosed with the leukemia. Can you tell us a little bit about, when you got that decision and how that affected you?
Yeah, 2002, I retired from football. And only about 6 months later, I started to feel fatigued. But I put that down to not training regularly. But I also started losing weight. And that just didn't add up. And then I had night sweats and various things that, they say typical man just ignore things. But I was that typical man. I just was ignoring all the little signals that were being shown. And I ended up, my wife made an appointment at my GP. Never seen him before because I was always healthy through my football career. And he knew straight away, more or less, there was something wrong. And he called for a blood test and said normally it takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get the results back. And I got a phone call that afternoon with, the news that I had a form of leukemia, which stops you in your tracks. It just, you can't believe this is happening to you. And my only sort of experience with cancer was my old man, my father, 10 years before, was diagnosed with lung cancer, and he went in 6 weeks. So all I could think of was my family. I had a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, 2 daughters, and my wife, Julie. And everything sort of moved very quickly, but very slowly. It was like you find yourself in a really dark place, trying to look for any positive. And my first positive was my first meeting with Professor Charlie Craddock, who was a professor looking after me, but obviously went on to save my life.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. And I know that in 2003 that they gave you just a couple of months to live, right? And then, I mean, here we are 12 years later. So how was your mentality going into that when someone tells you that you have 3 months to live?
Yeah, it is, like I say, it was a dark time, but Charlie more or less said that is with treatment now, I could get you back to a better place. And that better place was 3 years. You know, you'd had intensive chemo. And then a couple of days later, he said, right, we've got you back into this position where life expectancy is 3 years. And bizarrely, that put me in such a totally different mindset from being in a place where I was scrambling, trying to find answers. I found myself in this utopia. It's not a word I can't say. Anyway, this beautiful place I found myself in. And it was obviously life changing. And it was a period in my life where I look back on very fondly, which is very strange to say because I still have this life sentence, really, of only 3 years. But it gave me time to really sort of get everything in place, get financial situation in place. So I knew my family was well looked after if something did happen. And yeah, I just felt really comfortable and really happy that I did that. I had that opportunity, but also I had time to sort of spend with my girls. And we made a wish list of what we'd like to do together and just tick them off. And then I had to find the next step was to try and find a match to have a stem cell transplant. And very quickly, you find everything's figures and everything's black and white. And only 20% of the population have an opportunity of finding a match good enough. I've just got one sister, and thankfully she wasn't a great match, but she was my only option. And the skill of the doctor managed that to work. So I went through that process. So that was a arduous process, but it was that one thing that could save my life.
Wow. So yeah, so it was the chemo together with the stem cell transplant then finally made you go into remission 2 years later, right?
Yeah, I was diagnosed July the 4th, 2003. I went into hospital into isolation in January 2004. I had radiotherapy, total body radiotherapy for 4 days solid, then chemotherapy. And what they try and do is more or less try and take you to zero, all your blood counts, and then put a new stem cells in, which were my sisters, and then that fights the cancer. And that took about 5 weeks in isolation for me to be strong enough to go out into the big wide world again, but without being too close to people. So it was a process, a really tough process, but it was, like I say, it was my only option. And just watching my blood counts improve was, again, it was going the right steps in the right direction. And found myself going into remission in January 2005. So that was like the big news story for me.
I understand that. So, I think that the sports generally is a good school. It's like a second education. You learn a lot from that. You obviously have gone through a lot of tough times during these years. Do you feel that, being through sports and playing football on a high level somehow gave you a mindset that maybe helped you in these tough times?
Definitely. What it does, especially when you've been in a physio room for a while, you play sport and all you want to do is play football, but you can't because you've got a serious injury. And I was, at the age of 28, I had a cruciate operation. And it really, that discipline then really I took on board when I was being told what I had to do and what process I was going to go through. I got told there will be down times where I might get infections, where I might have to go back into hospital. I might have catch shingles, which is life-threatening when you've got an immune system that's really low. These all happened. Your mouth will get really sore from the radiation, and everything happened that Charlie told me, Professor Charlie Craddock told me. But knowing that he'd experienced that and knew what to do to find answers and to get me back on the right path again, I just felt really comfortable. So it's like being coached. It's like being, and by the physio, it's like, this is the process that we're going to do to get you back onto the pitch. Charlie was saying, this is what I'm going to do to get you back living a normal life. So I just totally listened, and I wouldn't say I did everything to the book, but I did as much as I could. And like I say, it all came good in January 2005.
Fantastic story. We mentioned a little bit before we teased that you're doing some things now. You are riding a bike race, and after your remission in 2005, it did not take long before you jumped up on the bike and went out on this 21 Tour de France, right?
Yeah.
How come you were back on track so fast after that?
I was just so keen to say thank you. The doctors and nurses and patients who I sat next to, who, I met so many patients in that time. There wasn't many people surviving leukemia back then. And there were so many younger, fitter people than me that were losing their battle. And I just wanted to do something on their behalf. And I was desperate to come up with an idea in January. Back in 2003, there was a figure in cycling that was a cancer survivor, but he was winning Tour de France, and that was Lance Armstrong. And I read his book, and that was one of the positives I got when I got that probably the second day I was diagnosed. Somebody sent me the book and told me to read it, and it just gave me something positive to hang on to. And it was a journalist friend of mine, when I went into remission, said, well, why don't you replicate in the UK what Lance has done in America? And I was thinking about it. He had a foundation that was raising millions. I said, well, I've not got the same profile as Lance Armstrong, but, you could do a ride round the Tour de France route. And I was just days into remission. I'd gone from about 16 stone down to about 10.5 stone. So I was just skin and bone. And I just said to Neil Aston, this journalist friend of mine, said, right, okay, if you can get a team together, I'll join you. And we did the tour one day ahead of the tour. We weren't racing, we were just riding the route. So when the professionals do a stage, that might take about 4 hours. We were taking about 10. But we did every single mile of the tour that year, and we raised about £250,000. And I went on to win an award on the BBC, the Helen Rawlinson Award, at the big BBC Sports Awards. And I felt that I had to do more, and that's what I went back to Charlie Craddock and just said, what can I do? And he was more or less saying, just help me build an infrastructure that will deliver a vision that I've got. And yeah, I've been doing that ever since, really. And the bike has played a big part of it. We're celebrating 20 years since we first did that challenge. We're now the Tour de France charity partner. We've got people from Israel, people from America. We've had South Africans, Australians, and obviously people from the UK taking part, and all raising money for a great cause. And it's we're up to, as we ride now on our rest day, we've just been told that we're closing up to £700,000 this year. So yeah, it's just but it's tough. It's really hard. As the older you get as well, it becomes harder doing these sort of things, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I understand that. So is this part of the Cure Leukemia, or is this a separate entity?
No, this is it's an event that raises money for Cure Leukemia. When we did it in 2005, it was just like a bunch of mates, really. And steadily we've improved it. We did it again in 2015, 2017, and then in 2021, we more or less did a more professional feel. We have a team bus. We have the motorbike outriders. We have a league car. So the event now is more like a professional event. It's not a race as such, but we have got some really good cyclists who want to fulfill a dream of riding the Tour de France. And it's like going to an English football fan and saying, do you want to play at Wembley? And very similar, a lot of people will jump at the opportunity. And the byproduct of this bike ride is a lot of money being raised and a lot of awareness all around the world of what good Cure Leukaemia is doing.
Yeah, definitely. And I had, now it's over 200 episodes, but on episode 46, I was talking to James McLaughlin from the CEO of Cure Leukaemia. Okay. So great guy and obviously a great initiative and really fantastic to see how you contribute as well.
Yeah, I mean, James has been, I think, at the helm now for about 10 years. The charity was set up in 2004. But James has come on, like the event, it needed a fresh eyes to make it bigger and better. James has come in as CEO of the charity. It would be about 2015, and he's taken it from a regional sort of based charity into a national charity, and now the work is now becoming international. So yeah, there's still more to be done. We still need to keep James working hard, and we'll be there to support him.
This, if I'm correct, is your 7th edition of the Tour 21?
Yeah.
How has your relationship with the race evolved over the years?
Well, we've had support from, back in 2015, it was a little bit taken by the cycling world, not too well, I can say, because I invited Lance Armstrong along to do a couple of stages. Mm. And that was a little bit of a thank you on my behalf to him personally for what he'd done for many cancer patients. Put aside that it was seen as a sports cheat, which it was because the culture back then, but I could separate the two, and the world of cycling, we've always had support. Chris Froome, his mother had died away from something similar to blood cancer, and Geoff Thomas has helped us in the past. And part of the fundraising this year, we've got signed replica yellow jerseys from Stephen Roach has signed it, Chris Froome, Geraint Thomas, and Sir Bradley Wiggins. So yeah, hopefully make quite a bit of money from those shirts as well.
Before we move on, I know you're in the middle of this race now. You have 2 rest days, one of which is today. So, really appreciate taking the time on your day off to do these type of media things as well. But, how, talking about rest and recovery, and you said before that it's tough and you're getting older, I assume, as well. So how do you structure the race now in terms of, strength, conditioning, recovery?
It is a case of get up in the morning, eat a really healthy breakfast, and just carry on eating all day. The amount of calories we're burning, we've got, not everybody's, a really good cyclist on this event. I say this to everybody. If you want to do this, do it. And if you've got some reason for doing it, just do it. As long as you train, you've got an opportunity to do it. We've got an American guy called Joe, who used to be an American footballer, and he's gone into media, and he's a big linebacker. He's massive. He's burning nearly 8,000 calories a day.
Oh, wow.
So he's got to eat continually to survive. And the first week has been tough, but we've got tougher stages coming up. We're going into the Pyrenees in a couple of days. So it is a case of just preparing, and resting as much as possible. There's no thought of doing anything else. Once you get off the bike, we've got a backup team that look after everything. All we have to do is ride the bike, eat, sleep, eat again and get on the bike again. So it's, it's, you ask yourself sometimes about your life choices, and when you're getting on the bike and you're feeling really, really tired. But it's the reason why we're doing it is really keeps you motivated. So yeah, and fulfilling dreams of people that have not even been touched by the illness. So it's a great.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And great to get the awareness out as well. And to, of course, the money that you get to, I guess, goes into, research and other things that can help people with leukemia.
Yeah.
As if this wasn't enough talking about like health issues on your part, you also have you have had some knee issues as well. I know that you got introduced to a company and that helped you tremendously. So do you want to talk about that also a little bit?
Yeah, it's a product called Arthrosamid. It's like a gel, and the company was called Cure that gave me the opportunity to having this process done. And I've got grade 4 arthritis in both knees, and so it's more or less bone on bone in my knee joints. Just years of playing football and I had cruciate operations on both knees. So my days of running have definitely finished, but it was getting to a point where I couldn't even ride a bike anymore. And I had this procedure done in January, start of January, I think. And I can say my right knee feels great. My left knee, which is the worst one anyway, is a hell of a lot better. And it's allowing me to even just trying to do what I'm doing at the moment is amazing. And I'll be shouting about the product for a little while. It's made a difference to me. And yeah, and we'll see how things go in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, it's a great opportunity that these guys have given me.
Yeah, I understand that. So how were you introduced to it? And I know they were talking about knee replacement.
It was a guy, Mark Gillette, actually did this event 2 years ago. And Mark is the chief medical officer for the Premier League football. So he's a doctor that introduces new therapies, new sport nutrition to the Premier League. And this is one for the older professionals, really. And he's working with the PFA, introducing it to probably my generation, and maybe a bit younger, a bit older. And it does, people who don't want to have a knee replacement or probably too young to have a knee replacement, it's probably the best option. And it's good enough for me not to even contemplate having a knee replacement now, which I was thinking about 6 months ago.
I mean, it's fantastic if you can have this type of, gels and etc. instead of having like major surgery. Obviously, that's the first better option.
Sure, and it's just local anaesthetic, and it's a process that takes a matter of minutes. And it's I've got nothing but good news about the product at the moment, and and I just wish I'd trained a little bit harder to justify the amount of support I've had, really.
It sounds silly now, but like I have some standardized questions that I like to ask, and one of them are like bumps on the road. But I mean, that feels like, they are pretty clear in your case, but I don't even know if it's word, but like, except for, your knee issues and obviously the leukemia, has there been any other bumps in your either football career or after, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I think you mentioned about injuries in football. It's just it's a given that you're going to get injuries. There's not many players that go through the career, and it's just learning how to just have patience and getting through that. So bumps, it is troughs and peaks with sport, but I don't know. I've been really lucky. I'm really happy with my lot. It's just like you said, it's very easy to go back and try and think of negatives, and if you do that, then you'll find the negatives, because there are negatives. I mean, probably my football career, 18 years, yes, it was, and 9 England caps, and never losing. But my England career is remembered for one incident, which was hitting the corner flag when I was 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, So, well, that's life. People want to always will talk negative if you give them the opportunity. So why look for the negative yourself? I always think just carry on the positive road and just move on. Just keep moving forward, and good or bad in the past, it's in the past. Just keep moving.
Definitely, definitely. And I mean, I love that mindset, right? As you said, like it depends on how you look at things. Like if you frame it as that you've been, you got leukemia, you have bad knees, and they remembered you for this and that. You didn't score a goal, you didn't do X, Y, Z. Or you flip it on its head and you say like you didn't lose a game, you had an 18 years professional career, you were on the national team, you have a beautiful family, you have 2 kids, you're doing these things now.
Sounds so much better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I mean, it's a mentality and a mindset, right? And it's so much, both are true to an extent, but, it's so much more fun to focus on the good, on the positive.
Yeah. And utopia is a word that I was trying to say before. When you're a little bit tired and your tongue doesn't work.
Yeah. I understand that.
But yeah.
I mean, for someone who you have been, a professional player, you've been now in the industry from another angle, you've been through a lot. If there is, a young person in this industry that struggles with something, what would be some good advice that you have for them?
In football?
It could be in football or like in the industry or, just maybe in general, if someone who's struggling.
I just think if you're struggling, just talk. I think I had issues, more mental issues, and I think that's where people are more open nowadays, which is refreshing because I think people used to say this term "man up" if you were feeling a little bit down or you were looking for a way out of something. And I think now people are more open to listening. And I think it's just talk. I think just talk about and seek help, seek support. Don't sort of put yourself in a corner where you feel like you're by yourself. Just try and pick up any information that's going to move you forward. And I think, just be open and then be honest to yourself. And then I think if you look at yourself and understand yourself, then you've got a better chance of, telling people what you need and how can I get out. And just don't be scared of asking for help. Asking for, if you're a footballer, ask a coach. If you're in business, go to somebody you feel confident that you'll get the right answer from. And just be open and be honest. And I think that's the way forward.
Definitely. And, I agree with you. I think that it's more, it's easier. It's not easy, but easier nowadays to talk about it than it was maybe back in your playing days.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you look at a staff of a football club, now they have mental coach, performance coach. They have these type of things on staff, which back in the days, maybe you didn't have a mental coach the same way as you have today.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I was left after my England miss. There was no sort of going into a room and sort of understanding the amount of abuse I was going to get in the next months or years or whatever. But I had to sort of go on that journey myself and use my own personality to get through that, really. And I'm lucky, but because I know so many people in all different walks of life don't have that strength, and need that support. And I'm grateful. I mean, I touched on it. I had 2 teammates passed away, very close, and they were only Chris Bart-Williams and big Kevin Campbell from Nottingham Forest. And that hit me hard, and it took me a while to just mention that to somebody and just opening up and telling somebody that even though they were just teammates, they weren't close buddies, but that, it gave me a sense of my own mortality for the first time in my life. And I needed to process that, and I needed help to process that. And I was just talking to somebody, and now I'm just back to my normal, positive, get on with it frame of mind. But it's life's not easy sometimes, and you just gotta kick on and make the most of what you've got.
Definitely. And I mean, also your story is inspiring other people, that they hear what you went through, and maybe they hear your story and they want to speak up about something that they have going on in their lives.
There's like I say, there's people on this trip who have got really interesting stories. Everybody's got a story, and everybody should tell their story. Don't be scared of telling and sharing, because you might think it's normal what you've done, but to somebody else it might be inspiring. So just be open, just talk rather than look at social media. Social media is the bane of a lot of people's problems at the moment. I think we see social media as, we see people, these influencers, that seem to have a perfect life, and life's not like that.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to get back to the old days where people used to talk and meet up and have a drink together, coffee or a beer or something.
Definitely.
Not the way forward.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe it will switch back at some point.
Everything goes round in a circle.
Exactly.
It will come back.
Yeah. Is there something I haven't asked you yet that you want to mention?
No. I mean, this is promoting, really. Everything I do is trying to promote that great man, Charlie Craddock. I know he sets an infrastructure now which is generating hope for patients, but also I know he's going beyond what really is his normal duty. He's tireless, but there's many more Charlies out there who need our support. And yeah, I'm just happy to keep shouting about that. And if I can talk to the likes of yourself and spread the word, yeah, I just hope that somebody listens to this and then goes off and shares it with somebody else, and then that's the way business and the life evolves. It's what we're doing is good, and it's good to be a part of something that is successful and moving forward. And we like to see the end of blood cancer, and I think it's not a false hope. I think we're winning, but we're not got there yet. So we need to keep going.
Definitely, and but you're doing everything you can, and a good way on track.
Thank you very much.
So I like to end on a networking question. So is there someone from your network that you think would be a good guest on this podcast?
Well, I've got quite a few. My colleagues, Ian Wright would be great fun. Gary Lineker is a great support of everything I do. There's many people out there that I could ask to come along.
Yeah, we can chat offline about that if you want to.
Yeah, sure.
Geoff, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Sports Management Podcast.
No, I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Sports Management Podcast. Please hit the follow or subscribe button on your podcast app so you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. If you want to get in contact with me, send an email to sportsmpodcast@gmail.com, connect with me on LinkedIn, or follow the podcast on Instagram, X, and Facebook @SportsMPodcast.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.